Yo, parish orphans and retrogrades, I have another synod update for you. We haven't been having as many as I thought we might have. October Synod on Synodality 2024, ongoing for another 10 days. They've been controlling the information out the way that the more recent Francis pontifical synods have gone. So I haven't been able to come to you guys with news from the synod day in, day out, the way we did 2-3 years ago. But today, there is a Cardinal Steiner who says that, and I kind of called this, I'll tell you specifically what I called. In his Amazonian archdiocese, Steiner, Amazon archdiocese, he lays hands on women. Well, that's actually a slight improvement, right? A lot of these guys, you're wondering who they're laying hands on.
And it may be men.
So
after hours.
But so he lays hands on women as a sign of receiving a ministry, and that this person will celebrate a sacrament. So this I did not really foresee, because this guy's just going against the, I don't know, doctrinal chief and Francis, who are at this point saying it's not going to be a sacrament. If you make women deacons, it'll be a sub-sacrament. Ergonomically identical, probably, but a sub-sacrament. He's saying he just goes ahead and does this. Correspondingly, he called for female deacons. So this is on Twitter, Michael Haynes, who reports for LifeSite, who I follow, who's been giving me all my synod news. This year, I haven't gotten any from Diane Montaigne or from Obi-Wan Kenobi, Ed Penton. It's all been from Michael Haynes. I think everyone else just got blackpilled on the synod process. I'm going to read to you some from this article. It's Brazil's Cardinal Ulrich Steiner told a press conference that he lays hands on women who will baptize people in the Amazon region. So see, identical to deacons, asserting that in our reality, women exercise the deacons' ministries. Now that sounds like what I called. Did I call that or what? September 30th of 2023. In our reality, women exercise the deacons' ministries. Wow. But he's actually saying he lays hands on the women. I think specifically what I predicted in that show I did over a year ago is that the Amazonian bishops will lay their hands on the male deacons, and that the male deacons might be like touching their wife's hand or something. And then it would be like ambiguous whether or not there's some commutative property of touch by which the deacon touched the man touches the woman, and it would be ambiguous. It would be the equivalent of a footnote in chapter 8 of Amoris Laetitia. That's kind of, I was just spitballing. And this guy's sort of, and I was saying, look, and they're going to make women ambiguously sacramental deacons, but clearly ergonomic deacons. They do all the functions of deacons. And that's how Francis, in his casuist ways of casuistry, which were taught to him by the Jesuits, that's how he'll get around it and still have women deacons and say, well, I mean, you could see yourself, I didn't lay hands on the women. The male bishop, the bishops didn't lay hands on the women. We'll call it Cardinal Steiner says a different tale, tells us a different narrative. He's like, I'm just going to do it, and maybe Francis will just do it. In which case, it would be worse than what I predicted. But nevertheless, there are all kinds of elements of what I told you would happen happening. The main elements, like ambiguity as to whether women are deacons or not. Favoring, yes, they are. So here's the full story, which broke yesterday. Up on LifeSite. Calling for a female diaconate, Cardinal Ulrich Steiner from Brazil's Amazon region has revealed that he lays hands on women who he has commissioned to baptize since they're going to celebrate a sacrament. I guess the sacrament is the baptism that they're going to go perform. Not allowed. Addressing a press conference in Fatima, Portugal over the weekend, Steiner renewed his prior calls for a female diaconate. Now, this is synod news, by the way. In our reality, women exercise the deacon's ministries, said Steiner on Saturday. The Cardinal Archbishop of Manaus in the Amazon presides over an area with approximately 1.6 million Catholics. He added that the vast majority of our small communities are coordinated by women, which just sounds terrible. Can you imagine what
Fresh hell that might be.
Yeah, what fresh hell it might be, and how much moodiness, how many mood swings, how much gaslighting, how much hormonal temperature swings there are in that.
You're gonna be in so much trouble.
In that set of communities. I will be in zero trouble.
Not with me.
He noted that the role of women in the Church of the Amazon is fundamental. Well, the domain of women is a tyranny, like Aristotle said. So they're trying to push the role of women in the Church universal, as you all well know. That's what this synod seems to be about. And if you have a fundamental role for women in the church, aside from sitting and staying silent and obedient, as the church is silent and obedient before the teachings of Christ, and you try to make women doctors and teachers, even though Holy Scripture, inerrant Holy Scripture says they can never do that, then you are paving the way for disaster, which is precisely what they're doing intentionally. Steiner continued, revealing that he performs a para-liturgical ceremony. Holy cow, they're even, I might have used the word para-liturgical or para-sacramental when I talked about the fact that they're going to make it ambiguous whether it's a sacrament, but in all other ways, the women diaconate will be sacramental, aside from maybe the quiddity of the sacrament itself. Para-sacramental, I'm going to start saying that, para-liturgical. He performs a para-liturgical ceremony for women he sends to offer the sacraments within the archdiocese. When I send someone, he said, for example, to baptize, I lay hands on them, but I don't lay hands on someone as an ordination. Oh, this is it. So I lay hands on them, and they're women deacons, but I lay hands on them, and it's sacramental because they're going to go carry the sacrament to people, but it's not an ordination. This is okay, I hadn't read this part. This is exactly what I said would be done.
You were right.
I lay hands as the apostles did, which was ordination. The apostolic laying on of hands is the ordination. He attested, adding that it is, quote, a sign of receiving a ministry and that this person will celebrate a sacrament. So I think maybe it's a translation issue, but he seems to be funning around with whether or not the person is celebrating the sacrament of their own ordination or they're about to go celebrate the sacrament of baptism of someone else. Since they're ladies, either way it's illegal, but who cares? The point is, I was right.
You were right.
That's all that really matters, isn't it?
That's all that ever matters.
The apostles are recorded in the scriptures as laying hands on new Catholics, but primarily the laying on of hands was used in conjunction with conferring sacramental ordination to holy orders, such as when ordaining the 7 deacons, none of whom were lady girls. None of them were lady girls. St. Paul also warns against too freely practicing the laying on of hands for new converts, warning in 1 Timothy chapter 5, verse 22, impose not hands lightly upon any man, neither be partaker of other men's sins. Steiner's testimony about his laying on of hands to confer a ministry while arguing that he is not ordaining appears to contradict the custom of the early church, since new members of the church did not receive a ministry when the apostles laid hands on them. Additionally, the Catholic Church notes that the ordinary ministers of the sacrament of baptism are bishops, priests, and deacons. It is only in cases of necessity that any person, even someone not baptized, can baptize, even if he has, if he has the required intention. So this is a well-known thing. You can baptize your newborn infant, Just use water. Use the Trinitarian formula. If there's no Catholic priest or deacon or bishop around, and they're about to die or something, a newborn, do it. Absolutely do it. So I'm not saying they can't do it. I'm saying that the conditions in the Amazon region do not meet the very, very specific standards for what qualifies as exigent or emergent circumstances which qualify a non-ordained person to baptize. Steiner has regularly highlighted the leading contributions of women in his archdiocese, and following calls from the Amazon Synod to have female deacons, the issue has gained renewed attention with the Synod on Synodality. Continuing his remarks to the press in Fatima, Steiner made passing reference to the controversy relating not only to female deacons, but also to Pope Francis's 2023 document, Fiducia Supplicans. These issues, he commented, are very tense in the church. We should stop discussing and reflecting. We should not stop discussing and reflecting, sorry.
Well, to say yay.
And if in an hour we come to the conclusion that in the past there was the female diaconate, why not reintroduce it? How was the permanent diaconate reintroduced? Well, there was never a female diaconate. That's just false. If we came to the conclusion that, I'm serious, I just got what they're doing.
That's what I saw online, that's what they're doing. They're saying it's actually, Tim, did you not know this? It's more traditional to have the females because, boom, roasted.
Susanna and Joanna, okay.
Yeah, that's what they're doing.
So, okay. That just hit me. I mean, it's obvious. So when the Jesuits, the Jesbians, the after hours Jesbians, commission their study groups to go study. They're probably doing more Netflix and chill than studying, if you ask me. But they're, after hours. They're studying at night, let's say, hanging out. It's a fun boys club. This is the Jesuits, fun boys club. And when they actually study something, they're not engaging in scholarly inquiry. What they're engaging in is casuistry or a tendentious argument. An argument where they're like, how can we get from here to here? It's polemics. They're engaging in polemics. We need to study the history of the church in any possible interpretive light that yields any possible open way to pigs can fly or circular squares. Things we know can't exist. Pigs don't fly. Squares can't be circular. We know so by their quantitative essence. And it just hit me. That's what they're doing. So the long time kind of lame argument by dumb post-conciliar lefties has been that in Acts of the Apostles, women like Susanna and Joanna, who were called literally lowercase non-ordained deacons, because diakonos with a K, diakonos, in Greek just means like helper, or in the case of a woman, like helper lady, like sandwich maker.
Hilarious. So become deacons, and then you just hand them up like a loaf of bread and like a slab of meats, and just be like, there it is. Yeah, that's what you're gonna do.
Yeah, you're a sandwich artisan, right? So they always made this argument in the 70s, 80s, and 90s, but even center-left outfits, like I remember our Sunday Visitor published a textbook, the Church Through History book that we use in our Retrograde Classical Academy church history course. It's a good little book, even though it's kind of, center organization, our Sunday Visitor. They make very clear, and I was very proud of them for doing so, that Susanna and Joanna were not deacons in any sense of the term. This is strictly what Aristotle calls an equivocal usage. It's a prosenequivocal. Deacons, but not deacons, like the bank of a river and the bank you go to at the market. Strictly equivocal. So what their study commission is going to do is just make a very tendentious false argument that Susanna and Joanna and others who are just helper ladies that helped raise food for the apostles in Acts of the Apostles, that they were actually closer to ordained deacons. Okay, now I got it. So that's what these study commissions do.